2021 대한민국
Welcome back
성평등
to the
오늘의 마지막
2021
세션을
Korea Gender
시작하겠습니다.
Equality Forum. We will be
미래를
starting the
여는
last
새로운
session
성평등
of the day,
여러분과 함께
titled
만들어보고자
Exploring
합니다.
Solutions
그래서
Towards
세션을
Gender
진행하는
Equality.
동안 궁금한 점이나
As we
의견이
conduct the
있으시다면
session, if you have any
유튜브
comments or questions,
댓글창에
please
남겨주시기 바랍니다.
utilize the
저희가
comments
시간을
portion
공유해서
of
함께
the
이야기
YouTube
나눌
channel.
수 있도록
We look
하겠습니다.
forward
자,
to
지금까지 일과
continuing
안전,
dialogues
디지털
with you.
전환 이렇게
We
세
have
개의
looked
핵심
at
키워드를
work, safety,
거쳐봤고요.
and
네
digital
번째
transformation.
세션에서는
Now we will go on to the
성평등을
fourth
향한
session
대안
titled
모색을
Exploring
주제로
Solutions
논의해볼까
Towards
합니다.
Gender
앞선
Equality.
세션의 논의를 바탕으로 청년들이
Based on
직접
the first
미래
three
성평등 사회
sessions,
실현을 위한
we will
대안을
be
모색해보고자
inviting
하는데요.
members
자,
of the
그러면
younger
이번
generation to
세션의
take a look
주관자인
at possible
노명우
solutions
아주대학교
for the
교수님께
future. We will
마이크를
now turn the
넘기겠습니다.
microphone to our
부탁드립니다.
moderator, Professor No Myung-woo of Aju University.
노명우입니다.
Good afternoon. I am No Myung-woo of Aju University, and I will be moderating session 4. Throughout yesterday and today, we have discussed work, safety, and digitization. And against this backdrop, we would now like to invite a part of the younger generation to take a look at some possible solutions towards gender equality. This last session, titled Exploring Solutions Towards Gender Equality, is a session to challenge to the premise that the world will not change. We hope to take a look at the current situation in order to change for the future. We hope that this session will contribute to correcting stereotypes so that we can work together to exploring possible solutions for gender equality. Through this session, we will be sharing ways to solve inequalities that we have experienced in our everyday lives, and we will also incorporate agendas such as climate change, as well as gender inequality and labor gaps. We have gathered to find some possible solutions for our society. Let me now introduce the panelists who have joined us offline. We have our presenter, Miss Lee Jung-yeon, who is the gender desk at 한겨레. And also as a presenter, we have with us researcher Kang Nam-gyu of the Center for Cultural Society. And we have two discussants who have joined us. We have Ms. Kim Ji-sun, co-chief of Operating Committee of the Seoul Youth Policy Network. We also have with us Mr. Park Sung-woo, Vice Chair of the Youth Special Conference. We look forward to your discussions. To start this session, we have with us Ms. Lee Jung-yeon, the gender desk of 한겨레. Your presentation, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lee Jung-yeon. I'm at the Gender Desk at 한겨레. I'm also the manager of the Gender Desk. I would like to talk about gender equality, which is one of the most important values for the current and future of the Republic of Korea. I'm very honored to have been asked to come here. I said that I'm from the Gender Desk, and this might not seem familiar to all of you, and I'm not surprised because only in May 2019 was this desk made. We wanted to try to have gender awareness in media content making, so with guidelines and trying to provide some sort of rules. Busan Ilbo and Gyeongyang Ilbo also have gender desks now. And in November, I was also asked to lead the gender team in 한겨레, which is a team that is devoted to looking at gender issues in particular. Because I am working on these issues, I have been given the time to think about gender equality as it stands in Korea. Gender issues take up major parts of Korean media coverage, as you know. In today's presentation, I would like to talk about seeking alternatives for gender equality. I believe that this is a very challenging theme because I don't know where I should begin. So I try to look at the past year of my experience in leading the gender team and looking at the issues that we've approached at the gender desk. There have been a lot of events and incidents this year. There are several incidents, as you can see here on the slide. In 2021, there were various gender issues that rocked the main headlines. In March, there was Dongha Pharmaceuticals' job interview that was gender discriminatory charge, where female job interview applicants were given questions about how do you feel about getting paid less than men because you didn't go to the army. Not only that, but even after this became public, many women came forward with how issues there were with gender discrimination in the job interview market. And in May, there was the pincer finger sign that became very controversial in Korea, where some of these banners and promo signs used these pincer fingers, which was seen as a sign of extreme feminists who are putting down men. Some corporations, public corporations, and even government corporations and government enterprises, when there were these pincer fingers, many people were critical of this. And in June, there was a very unfortunate incident. There was a victim of sexual violence in the military who was criticized again and again, and after asking for action, ultimately takes her own lives. With the family members of the deceased making this public, this became widely known across Korea. There was a lot of social commentary on the issue of sexual violence in the military. And then there was the Olympics. In 2020, after the COVID-19 outbreak, the Olympics was an event of hope. But the athlete An San, who was a three-time medalist winner, was attacked for being a feminist for the different words used or the hairstyle choices. And in August, we were able to see some data that looked at the wage gap in Korea. I believe that this was the first time that the government published this. The Ministry of Gender Equality and Family looked at 2149 different kinds of listed companies and said that there was a wage gap of about 35.9%. This means that if a male labor receives 1 million won, the female labor colleague would only receive about 640,000 won. And there was also femicide or murders perpetrated against women that continue to come about in Korean society. Unfortunately, these are not signs or signals that show that we are becoming more gender equal. However, there is at least some sort of consensus among the public that we have to move towards a gender equal society, that we should not let go of hope to look for alternatives. I believe that we can become a gender equal society, and I believe that hope always exists next to us, but it can be a little bit difficult to search for this hope, to try to realize this hope into reality. And I think that is why we are gathered here today. We are trying to seek alternatives, solutions to become a gender equal society. What would be these alternatives? I think that the word or the expression alternatives may sound vaguely positive, but this word in and of itself needs to be looked at further. This is not something that I came up by myself. This is the dictionary definition of alternative, that this is a measure to respond to an event or an instance that has occurred. If this is the dictionary definition of alternative, then we have to start from this definition. And looking at the gender equality related issues in Korea, we have to see the current status and come up with measures to respond to this. What is the current situation in Korea? As I mentioned, there were many different issues and events and controversy in Korea, but even if we were to put them aside, there were many other events that occurred. There was a movement against sexual discrimination, and I think that this has become more vocal and more widespread recently. It is not relegated to a specific issue, but that this has become more mainstream. And I think that this is very specific. It's a very specific kind of movement that we're able to see. Digitization, education, environment, many of these areas are seeing this backlash against gender discrimination. This may sound lighthearted, but recently I was watching a TV show and I thought that it was very surprising to see this message on that TV show. In Street Women Fighter, which I'm a fan of, it's a dance audition show, and you might wonder what does that have to do with gender equality, but I do think that it is relevant because 한겨레 looked at the gender ratio in TV entertainment shows. And at the time, we were able to see that most of the entertainment female entertainers are objectified or they are placed in the periphery. However, in this particular program, women are placed front and center as main protagonists, and the message that they give are sometimes very supportive of LGBTQ or of women's rights. I wondered if that could even be possible in Korean society. I was pleasantly surprised, and I think that this result is not something that happened overnight with an explosive movement, that all of these different smaller movements for gender equality and the history continue to accumulate to bring about these results. And on the other side, there was also some movement calling for against gender equality. Many people who misinterpret or mistakenly see this movement for gender equality, which is not new. However, I think that this backlash has also taken on a new front. If we look at online communities, or we look at these news headlines that say, an online community said so-and-so, and many people misconstrue the message. And there are more people who are thinking this way. I think that many of these issues surrounding gender equality and the backlash against this movement for gender equality has a lot to do with the media. And maybe I feel this way because I am someone who is working in the media in a newspaper. But I do think that the media is very much responsible for adding fuel to this fire because this kind of controversy journalism is a very big issue. Recently, the media has been competing with each other to try to get more clicks. So they try to issue these clickbait articles to try to get people to click on the articles. And they see the number of clicks on the articles as a record of their performance. And so that is why this competition is not subsiding. This controversy journalism, I think, is spreading false information or exacerbated or exaggerated information. That this is really a minority opinion, but it is getting overrepresented in the media. Related to this, when we look at these two big issues, I had to ask myself, what is it that we actually need going forward? What should we do for the current reality of our situation? And I think that above all, we have to do an objective sharing of the facts of the current realities of gender equality. There are people who want to misrepresent this case, but I think that objective facts would ultimately become the law of the land. For example, when it comes to recruitment, 44.2% of women have said that they have been discriminated against, and for digital sexual violence, there's about threefold increase in the number of complaints to about 6,280 in 2020 compared to 2018. I think that we have to let these objective facts be known, but we still need more data. We have to look at the missing pieces of data and try to fill in the gaps in the gender data. I'm going to read this small piece. It says that Korean women, their social standing is about 44th in the world. When it comes to female employment and social equality, we are dead last in the world. This news came out in 1988 in one of the news articles published by 한겨레. In 2021, in a report issued by World Bank, if we were to objectively look at the statistics of women's work and law, we are 10 points lower than OECD average in terms of our participation in the labor force, and we are 25 points when it comes to the wage gap. We are the lowest group. However, despite that, I wanted to show this to the people, the naysayers who say that we have made progress, because this is, as I said, from 1988. I think that we have to be very adamant when it comes to attacks on the gender equality agenda. When the pincer finger issue became controversial, many of the corporations and even public institutions issued apologies and pulled their ads. I think that you might remember what happened. There were also some people, for example, the Seoul Metropolitan Suicide Prevention Center has called that we stop these activities, and they said that they're going to review legal action. I looked at this statement by the center and thought about this messaging that we have to prepare for in the future. When there are attacks made on the agenda for gender equality, this is not something that is a one-time issue. When there is an unfair attack made against the gender equality agenda, we have to be very firm against this kind of attack and make our opposition known. If you take a look at these images on the left, that's an image from the 1950s. There was a suffragette movement at the time when women were calling actively for the right to vote. And there was criticism and opposition against this. And this image clearly is critical of that movement. It says that if there's a women suffragette in your home, this is the kind of home that you would be coming into. And then there is an anti-feminist movement held in Korea in the 2020s, which is what you see on the right, where they would consider feminism as a sort of mental disease, that there is a lot of critical activity directed against the feminist movement. I don't think that we should be surprised by these attacks, because although 100 years has passed, we have seen so many different kinds of issues and activities over the 100 years. There were many improvements, and there was a lot of progress made towards gender equality. So, despite everything that we've seen, because our expectations have gotten higher, we have to share them with more people and make this common sense and actually make practice towards gender equality and engage in supports and appreciation for their efforts. For those people who have mistaken ideas about gender equality, we have to continuously ask them questions and try to approach them, so that when it comes to a particular issue, let's say many of these tasks are something that we should all share. It's a burden that we should all share and not something limited to maybe just one government ministry like the Ministry of Gender Equality or Family. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was Lee Jung-yeon, who is the gender team head of the gender desk at Hangyore. Your presentation was titled, "Even Then, Even So, We Must Continue to Go On." Although we look around us and see some unfortunate situations, we still are agents of change for the future, and we have to remember that about ourselves.
We will now go on to researcher Kang Nam-kyu from the Center for Cultural Society. Researcher Kang Nam-kyu will present under the title of Finding the Link for Us Going Beyond the False Framework. Good afternoon. As have been introduced, I am Kang Nam-kyu from the Center for Cultural Society. This is the title of my presentation today, Finding the Link for Us Going Beyond the False Framework. I will be talking mostly about men in their 20s because I want to establish an understanding of those who should partake in creating gender equality. Let's take a look at the discourse of fairness. This is a very important discourse for the youth today. Well, let me give you a brief summary of my presentation before I start. The youth generation, they actually are very sensitive to fairness and this is not something new, and it's not a discourse that the youth have created for themselves. Let's take a look at the first issue. Well, we started with these three images. Regular workers at large companies, at government-owned companies, and here's a picture of the best universities in Korea. So this actually started with the shift from irregular workers to regular workers, and at the three main universities in Korea, we talked about fairness triggered by former Minister Cho Kuk. But for the youth who are actually high school graduates, not from the top three university, working at SMEs as irregular workers, what does this discourse mean to them? So here we have a discourse that is mainly for those with higher levels of education. They actually work at large companies or foreign invested companies or government-owned companies. This is what you can see from this graph in 2015 and 2019. And taking this into consideration, those who are not from the top universities, usually they do not discuss the discourse of fairness. And then we have to take a look at the content of discourse. The word fairness, is that really a fair value? Are you talking about fairness in a neutral way without keeping your interest in mind? We have to touch upon this. So, even if you are at a disadvantage, will you agree to the discourse of fairness? Here you have the gender discriminatory interview by Dongha Pharmaceuticals, which was quoted by some other presenters as well. And on the right side, we have the gender discrimination at recruiting for Seoul Metro. You can see that the women applicants actually had their scores downgraded so that they would not be recruited. I don't think we have to read all of this. The chat room here of the recruiters actually said, I don't want to choose women. This is actually from a chat room by Korea University concerning blind recruiting. And so they're pointing out, why are they not looking at majors? Majors is very important in looking at capabilities. And so these images actually show that possibly fairness could be interpreted in different ways, and at times it is actually going contradictory with merit-based systems. And we have to take a look at the historical background of the discourse for fairness. As you can see on the slide, from 2008, we started to talk about the discourse of self-development, the discourse of healing, the discourse of N generation, and the discourse of YOLO. And so if you see the flow, you can see that from the beginning, they started to emphasize efforts such as self-deployment, and then they started to make fun of people who made such efforts. And then we go through how we try to make a fair society without taking into consideration merits. And so the discourse of fairness that we are discussing now may not be so new to the current generation. This is the fourth issue that I would like to raise. It is the media who discuss the discourse of fairness. Here are three images. The 2018 One Korea team at the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. We also have the switching of irregular workers to regular positions at the Incheon International Airport Corporation, as well as the Generation Awareness Survey at KBS. You can see that all generations believe that fairness is important. But despite this awareness, we also see that fairness is a part of the generational gap. You can see that we try to separate the different generations in talking about fairness, mostly in the reportings by the media. And the media also believes that you need new items to put in their articles in order to continue to catch the eyes of the readers. And that's probably why they are using this generational conflict. So maybe we need to approach this issue from a new perspective. Let's take a look at the online gender conflicts. Well, first, the youth generation, they actually have embedded anxieties because the youth is a time period where they're in transition from student to a part of society. And in transition, you always have anxieties. And at this time, they don't have the language to express their anxiety. And they don't have the discourse to express their anxiety. And because they are in transition, they are a generation that can make different attempts. And so they can look for solutions very actively. Taking this into consideration, very intuitively, gender conflicts came to the mind of the youth. When they needed something to solve, gender conflicts existed, and it wasn't easy conflict to approach. And Meghalaya there was an emergence of Meghalaya as an open online community. In the past, most online communities were male dominant. You can see that in 2018, there was a research on what communities people who were job seekers were looking at, and you can see that most of them are male dominant. But most of the women dominant courses are usually subscription based and membership based, and they're not open communities. And so Meghalaya became the only women dominant open online community. Of course, Meghalaya also has membership, but you are able to engage with other communities in an open way. So Meghalaya became very active, and therefore they actually caught the eyes of other communities and the media utilized this in the gender conflict framework. You can see that the media utilize this framework of male-dominant communities versus women-dominant communities. Taking all of this into consideration, what I wanted to mention is that gender conflicts was chosen as an issue because it was an easy issue to approach, and because it was chosen as an issue, it became bigger and bigger. So you can say that we no longer see eye to eye, and it seems that we are discussing whether men are more or women are more dominant in our society, which leads to further conflicts. So, how can we go beyond this false framework to create gender equality in our society? I don't know if you can believe this, but I still believe that people can change. Especially this group of men in their 20s. We cannot neglect them, and we cannot say that they don't exist. And so what we need to do is to reorganize them in order to achieve gender equality in our society. So we have to now think about the real reason for anxiety. Here you can see the graphs from 2020 and 2021. You can see the main conflict, the main reasons for conflict between classes and conflict between generations. Many of the respondents say that unfairness actually exists, and if you take a look at the right side, even within the MZ generation, there are also differences. And the gap between men and women obviously exists, as many presenters have talked about. But this gap between genders is as evident as the gap between generations. We need to think about this gap in our discourse, and we need to have the language to express this in order to go beyond the false framework. These graphs are from the U.S. The youth generation of the U.S., you can see that many of them have a preference for socialism. And on the right side, you can see the number of membership for DSA. From 2016 to this year, they actually grew from 10,000 people to 90,000 people. This is nothing new. On the bottom, you can see the main image from the DSA website. You can see that they are emphasizing classes. They are not trying to hide the concept of classes, but they are actually saying that all people of different classes do exist, but they can look in the same direction for the same goal. I think this is a great image to show that. This is the core of my presentation today. Before we go into looking for solutions, there are questions that we have to ask. What is our consensus when we are discussing men in their 20s? Do we have a consensus on the minimum level of ethics? The premise that we are all equal. Do we have a consensus on this premise? The two graphs on the bottom are from 2021, and this is an awareness survey done by KBS. Of course, there are some controversies over the result, but I think the tendency is quite true. You can see that men in their 20s have a very different tendency compared to other genders and other generations. So, this large group of men in their 20s, how should we approach this group? We need to ask this question first in order to strive for the big goal of gender equality. If we are to reach a consensus with the men in their 20s, that would be a great solution. But if that consensus is difficult to reach, what about fostering a new generation? They say that we need to change the generation. If we are not able to change them, then we need to utilize the other genders and other generations to establish gender equality and pressure the men in their 20s so that they inevitably will follow us unless they become marginalized. They say that 25% is the tipping point. So in a group, if more than 25% of that group wishes to change, then that change will happen. And so we have to take a look at the overall society and believe that we can reach over 25% even without men in their 20s. When a 25% of the group wishes to change, and when the remaining people can confirm that demand for change, then we can change in that direction. And so changes in gender equality should not be discussed from the perspective of men and women because you can only reach 50%. But now we need to have a stronger watertight group of 25% who wishes to see changes for gender equality. If we are able to achieve this 25%, they will become the stepping stone for a gender equal society. That is all for my presentation today, and I will continue the dialogue through the wrap-up discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Kang, for your presentation. In order to change the present, we need to have an accurate view of the present, and that should be the starting point. Researcher Kang Nam-kyu asked the question of whether we have a misperception of the present. Do we actually have an accurate perception of the present? And based on this question, he talked about the need to reinterpret the discourse of fairness. And we also need to have an accurate view of the online gender conflicts, which is a very important point. And he also talked about the fundamental reasons for anxiety amongst the youth generation. We need to analyze this accurately in order to achieve a gender equal society. We have heard from Lee Jung-yeon, who is the gender desk at 한겨레, and also researcher Kang Nam-gyu. We will now go into the
첫
discussion.
번째 토론자로
Our first panel discussant is Kim Ji-sun from the Seoul Youth Policy Network,
위원장님께서
who's the co-chair of the network, is now going to give panel discussion points on the presentations that we've just heard. We are hoping and anticipating to hear more from co-chair Kim. We'd like to hear from you now.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는
Hello.
서울 청년들의 시장
I'm
참여
from
기구인
Seoul Youth
청년
Policy
정책
Network, which is a venue for Seoul youth to participate in policy making. My name is Kim Ji-sung. We've just heard about the situation of the youth, and as our presenters have described, there are many different challenges facing the youth, but we are also working very hard to try to seek alternatives. We believe that policy should have as its starting point the daily lives of the people that the policies are supposed to impact. And so we are here to talk about the injustice and unfairness and inequality that the youth experience and youth participation to try to overcome this. We've just heard about how we need more discourse on inequality, and while we weren't cognizant of that, we did actually come up as part of our network. Our General Assembly, the Seoul Youth Citizen Conference, was held under the theme of the power of participation to overcome inequality, because we wanted to take a look at the situation of inequality facing our society today and try to actively seek alternatives. We have constantly thought that there was inequality in jobs, in housing, and recently because of COVID-19, isolation and disconnection, and also many different inconveniences. It is true that the youth community has actively faced this concern and tried to seek alternatives to overcome this challenge. In coming up with principles to try to seek alternatives, we believe that the youth know best the problems that concern us. So, in coming up with alternatives, we thought that we should actively participate in seeking alternatives, because in the past, we were the ones experiencing the problem, but now we want to be agents in trying to foster change. So that is what I would like to briefly tell you in my presentation. There are many different ways that the youth can participate. We can create governance and also create some sort of legal basis. In terms of creating a governance, our network and various other 5,000 other youth delegates participating from about 111 local governments and municipalities have participated in the policymaking processes at these different municipalities and local governments. And we also wanted to try to establish a legal basis for our participation, not just for youth participation, but for living, our lifestyle, housing, welfare, and financial services. There are many different supports that we have to be provided. And so, in coming up with a Framework Act for the youth actively participated in this and also in the coming up of basic ordinances regarding this. And as of 2020, we have over 2,000 or so different youth-related policies representing about 3.3 trillion won's worth of funding. Through the identification of different policies and through public deliberation, we were able to enhance youth participation. So first, let me touch upon the identification and discovery of policies. So we wanted to look at the gap when it comes to assets or the difficulties that youth have in entering the labor force, or maybe different psychotherapy needs. And as has been mentioned by the media, over 50% of the youth are living month to month in terms of their rent. And we thought that these were different problems that the youth face, and we tried to make these policy proposals. Many of them have made it into policy, and also with climate crisis, gender inequality, labor wage gaps, many of these different problems that we actually physically deal with on a day-to-day basis, we try to bring in many different members of the public to try to participate in this as well through different projects and public discussion sessions. These steps were very difficult. There were some conflicts along the way, but I believe that that these were not representing the division within us, but that we have to respect and honor the differences among us. It was a learning process for all of us, and through that learning process, we can understand better our own lives, but the lives of others. This allowed us to enhance our capacity and have more of an incentive to work better in the future. This forum is held under the theme of gender equality, and I now want to talk about the connection points between youth participation and gender equality. I think I want to touch upon two things in particular, which is that gender equality is one of the main agenda that we deal with, and while this looks very specific, that it is actually a very universal issue. First of all, gender equality as the main agenda item for us, since about 8 years ago, throughout our activities, we have tried to discover different policy proposals to try to actively engage with the gender equality issue. Our network, every year, we try to come up with different subcommittees based on our interests. And since 2013, almost every year, there was a subcommittee devoted to gender equality and policy proposals as such. The policies can be classified into these different categories. Trying to realize gender equality in the public sphere, some institutional work, and also for public servants, that civil servants have to receive gender awareness education, and that this kind of training and education was something that the youth members proposed. And also with the N-Bun room, or number N room, or the Gangnam Station image-based sexual violence, that these scary, threatening events should be solved with an institutional basis in mind. Many of these policy proposals were also actively engaged, and also to call for a gender equal community. These public policy proposals have been raised as well. We wanted to try to meet with many citizens and try to make this into a public discourse. This is a very difficult and challenging and divisive issue, but we wanted to try to make it easy to access and have many people participate through public discussion forum and etc. I believe that youth participation and gender equality, that there is a very big connection point between the two. Many of the youth who feel and suffer from gender inequality is not something that only the youth members feel, but actually vulnerable members of society can be exposed to this as well. So through policy and through public discussions, that many people can come together in solidarity against this issue. With gender inequality, we are looking at different gaps, but there's also many discrimination depending on the kind of employment status or where you're from. And so we have to fight inequality in all forms, which is why I think that it's important for us to seek connection points and solidarity points for this. And maybe this might sound cliche, but the alternatives to gender equality, based on what I've said thus far, is that we have to have more avenues for social and public discourse. A lot of this was done online, but I think that is very different from offline face-to-face discourse making. So I hope that there could be more offline avenues and channels for public discussion. And through this, the youth community can be able to solve the conflicts and differences that we have within us. And secondly, this is not going to be easy, but in the public policy-making process, I hope that many members of the citizens, the public, can participate in this very actively, although this might not be easy. And so this might be a little bit of an overreach, but I think that the people who actually are victims of this can voice better the alternatives that they feel they are warranted to. So if they can participate in this policy-making process, we can create a better society. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. That was Kim Ji-sun, who is the co-chair of the Seoul Youth Policy Network. She said, and her key point is that the youth who experience this kind of inequality should be the agents for change, that they themselves should take accountability for this issue and actively search for the alternatives to try to seek solutions to this problem. And this is something that we feel all the time, but that the answers could be found in the most everyday situations. So maybe in solving this, we have to have more avenues for public discussion and discourse, which might sound like a common sense, but it's very obvious.
The last discussant of this session is Mr. Park Sung-hoo, who is the Vice Chair of the Youth Special Conference. We will then conduct the wrap-up discussion with all of the panelists. We will now invite Vice Chair Park Sung-hoo of the Youth Special Conference. Good afternoon. I am Vice Chair Park Sung-hoo of the 17th Youth Special Conference. According to the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family, the awareness of gender equality is increasing amongst the youth, and the experience of gender discrimination is decreasing every year. But ironically, you can see that as of 2017, of 144 countries, our gender discrimination index is at 118, and out of the OECD countries, we are 29 out of 29 countries. And so gender conflicts are becoming very sensitive within our society. As you have heard, we have had many issues this year. Given this reality, what do the youth need? Of course, I cannot represent all youth, but as the Vice Chair of the 17th Youth Special Conference, I would like to talk about the voice of the youth. Let me first introduce our Special Assembly. The Youth Special Assembly was hosted with the recommendation of international organizations, and we started in December of 30th, 2003. It is a cross-governmental organization for the youth. This year, we had the 17th Special Conference, and every year we have come up with various ideas for policies, and we have suggested a total of 551 policy tasks thus far. We have the voice of the youth through the participation of many members of the youth generation. And this year, we had an online conference. Here you can see the schedule. We try to represent as many of the youth as possible by coming up with a full year's schedule, and we have recently suggested our policy tasks to the government, and we are waiting to hear from the government. And we also vote on the policies that we have come up with every May. And this year, we focused on the topic of fairness. As researcher Kang has mentioned, the issue of fairness is not only important, but it's a sensitive issue and it's a difficult issue. Despite the difficulty, we have seen that a total of 27 policy tasks were suggested across economy, education, rights, and welfare. Now let's talk about gender equality. The Youth Special Conference also made many efforts to achieve gender equality. For example, we try to represent the voice of the youth in achieving gender equality. At the 15th Youth Special Conference, we held discussions under the topic of gender equality, such as enabling both girls and boys to select their own uniforms, having a gender equality committee within the schools, and also utilizing the policies to redefine certain words in the Korean language dictionary. You can see that the policy tasks are not suggested from out of the blue, but it is rooted in the everyday lives of the youth. Within our lives, we have yet to see gender equality. This is something that is quite well recognized by the youth. Many of our policies that we have suggested have been realized, but we need to continue to advocate for gender equality from the perspective of the youth. At this year's Youth Special Conference, we have discussed gender equality in various ways. For example, we took a look at various tasks that we need for gender equality. Of course, we did not cover all topics, but the fact that the youth are starting to talk about gender equality is great news. And some policies were actually realized. For example, vaccination can be conducted regardless of whether you are a man or a woman, and that was suggested, and this is being reviewed by the relevant ministry. We now need to make sure that the stars of the future, who are the youth, need to continue to suggest policy tasks. Researcher Kang has mentioned that the tipping point is 25%. I believe that education can also be a tipping point. As you're well aware, most youth in Korea are studying in primary, middle, and high schools according to the curriculum decided by the government. And the curriculum is covering various topics decided by the government. Currently, gender equality education is not a part of this public curriculum. Gender equality should become an important part of the public curriculum, as it is an important topic for all generations. Gender equality education at the school will certainly enhance the perspective of the students for gender equality, and it will also make sure that it can prevent social conflicts across the society. I would like to suggest to the Ministry of Education that gender equality be included in the new public curriculum. Not all youth are at schools. There are various reasons for the youth to stop going to school. We have seen that 250,000 youth are now not going to school. And it seems that this number will continue to grow in the future. And so gender equality education for them are also necessary. The importance of gender equality education at schools is also true for those who are not going to school. Currently, the youth that are not going to school are receiving various trainings at 220 support centers across the country. And most of the programs at these support centers are focused on finding jobs for the youth. And so I would like to ask the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family that they actually provide gender equality education through these centers so that even youth who are not at school can receive training and education for gender equality. We also need to have stronger mandatory measures such as mandating gender equality education for all those who are taking exams to receive their diplomas for middle school or high school. And we also need to make sure that we work through the Youth Special Conference. At our conference, we will conduct gender equality education for all members. Recently, we have seen that there was a sexual violence incident in a youth group, and that actually shows that we need to have stronger gender equality education within youth organizations. If we are not able to have gender equality within our organization, we cannot voice our opinions about gender equality in our society. And we will also create a gender equality committee to achieve gender equality at our special conference. And I hope that this could also be expanded to all other youth organizations across the country. We will do our best to make sure that gender equality is mainstreamed in all youth organizations. Gender equality is absolutely necessary for social integration, but now it has become too sensitive of an issue. One of the main reasons for gender conflicts is the lack of social consensus, as well as the vulnerabilities in our social safety net. I do hope that through this forum, we are able to come up with a social consensus on gender equality, and I hope that we will see gender equality in our everyday lives. At our special conference, we always ask the question, can we actually experience fairness through our dialogue? We should not strive at one gender becoming dominant over another. That is not what we are trying to achieve through gender equality. Regardless of gender, we need to be respected as humans. We need to recognize all of us as humans in order to live in a gender equal society. We need to go beyond our past and achieve a gender equal society. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Park Seung-woo of the Youth Special Conference. And thank you for sharing with us the activities of the Youth Special Conference and also sharing with us the efforts that are being made by the Youth Special Conference to achieve gender equality in our society. And he also shared with us some urgent policies that need to be put into place. Thank you very much.
So we have just now heard from two presentations in two of our panelists, and now we're going to have a round of discussions. Because after we've each given our own presentations, we can now interact in a discussion session. Listening to the presentations and the panel discussions, I think that there is a common thread through all of your remarks, which is to solve the problem, we have to accurately identify the problem at hand. Because if we make a wrong diagnosis, that means that we cannot solve the problem. And in fact, it would lead to even more controversy. Therefore, we have to accurately understand the problem. And I think this is what all of you have commonly said. For our two presenters, you have looked at the obstacles or the different factors that allow us to not see the problem properly, and both of you have talked about the controversy journalism and how the media obscures our ability to see the problem as it stands. This controversy journalism, this kind of journalism that only creates controversy instead of setting any agenda, could be seen as something that is quite unfortunate. Currently, we see controversy journalism as something that is unending, and it's a consistent kind of issue in our societies. Why do you think that is? And within this framework of conspiracy journalism, what can we do to try to set a different framework in which and through which to view the issues? So this is a common question to both of you. To Ms. Lee Jung-yeon, who is the head of the gender desk at Hangyeol, because you are a journalist yourself, perhaps you are more sensitive to this issue, and you might consider this to be a very urgent issue. So we'd like to hear from you first.
네. 논란 저널리즘을 이제 접하고 그런 개념을 접하고 확인하니까 더 많은 것들이
After I came across the concept of controversy journalism, I think that it could explain away many of the behaviors of the media. I was able to understand better why the members of the media were exaggerating different news articles, and they're competing so much to get more clicks on their news articles. This framework of controversy journalism, once I became used to it and once I came to understand this concept, I was able to see that this is not something that is necessarily a new issue for Korean journalism, but that this was a very pervasive issue that was ingrained in Korean media, just like inequality, because I am a journalist myself.
미디어의 그 자정이나 이런
I look at the, rules and look at how the cycles are set in media, and I think that the journalists have the responsibility to set the principles and the guidelines to that so that we do not reproduce the same kind of controversies, that we can cut this vicious cycle.
실제로 안산 선수 논란이 있었을
When
때
we
그 문제가
looked at the
큰
controversy
논란이라고
surrounding the athlete
안산 선수에
An-san,
대한 온라인 공격이 있었을 때
when there were these online attacks on the
내부에서
athlete,
그 전국 언론노조
there was a National Press Union, and they have a gender equality committee where they issued a statement and said that members of the media are making things worse by sort of fanning the flames of the controversy, especially about this one particular sports athlete, and the media should stop these activities. I don't know how much of a repercussion this statement had, but the fact that it was a statement that came out from the media circles was quite important. And what I want to add is something that I want to urge all other members of the media, which is that we engage in controversy journalism as a kind of marketing tactic to try to get more clicks on our news articles. So this issue would go away if we were to do away with the clicks and maybe have a lower number of clicks. And I think that this is kind of tied in with media literacy, because for the members of the public, they should try to be critical of the news articles and be introspective in how they respond to the different news articles. So if the members of the public can be more savvy when it comes to digital literacy, then maybe, and if they don't go for the clickbait articles, then we can see a decrease in controversy journalism.
Well, I think I have a similar opinion with Ms. Kim. We see that the structure of the media currently is fixated on the number of clicks. And so if you're not fixated on clicks, then we would have a change in the situation. And I think if the readers would not click on these articles, then we would not have such articles. So we need to make sure that we do not click on these type of controversy journalism. And so I think the attitude of the citizens need to change in order to change this situation. And I think that is the type of dialogue that we need on this topic. We have heard from the two presenters, and having listened to them, it seems that a lot of the controversies are invented. And these invented controversies are exaggerated, and people become excessively immersed in these invented controversies. And these invented controversies are actually false controversies, and these false controversies in the end actually hinder the creation of public discussions concerning this very important topic of gender equality. We will now go to Ms. Kim Ji-sun and Mr. Park Seung-woo.
You've mentioned, both of you, and emphasized the importance of having the people who are impacted by the issues actually become agents for change, that through gender inequality, the people who are directly impacted by this should be the people who also come up with the solutions to correct this issue. And I think that this is something that both of you emphasize in your respective comments. However, although that is the case, when it comes to gender equality agenda, the people who are actually invested in this issue, realistically speaking, are not that many, or they are relegated to a particular community or particular group. And sometimes these groups who may be impacted by the implications don't understand or don't identify themselves as the agents who can bring about change. So to try to create this gender equality agenda, we have to go over and beyond this hurdle. Can you tell us, in your activities, how you go about dealing with these realistic obstacles? Or can you provide us with some clues as to how we can solve these challenges? If you have any experiences you can share with us, that would be helpful.
굉장히 어려운 질문인 것
I think that is a very difficult question, but
질문 들으면서 들었던 좀 생각은 일단은 그 첫
listening to
번째로
your
제가
question,
토론에도 말씀드렸지만
I thought that, and this is something that I talked about in my discussion, but in these public discussions, there are people who come who are interested in this issue. So when we had that forum, the platform for discussion earlier before this forum, and there was a chance for many people to have discussion and listen to what other people say. And so what I say now could be a little bit too hopeful or encouraging, but I think that just coming to those arenas is a very hopeful sign of change. And in fact, as the co-chair has said, I think that as someone who heads these different committees, that these discussions for gender equality and trying to create more of an atmosphere for gender equality was quite motivating for me, because if I look at Seoul Youth Policy Network, when we first started calling for membership, we start by reading a pledge. When we do city policy participation, the members go through a bit of a training process. Before the 3 or 4 month training process, we all start by reading a pledge. And the pledge alludes to gender equality and how there is discrimination for other differences. And so we have to try to prevent that. And when there are these differences, we have to try to solve them within the community. Reading this pledge actually has a very powerful effect, because you keep reading the pledge at each cycle, and this kind of shows you and tells you what you have to do to make yourself a better person, and also gives you a sort of introspective look at what the community can do and what the community is like right now. So as you've mentioned, this is a way of practicing daily changes in our everyday lives.
Well, as she has mentioned, I can also say that the lack of a social consensus is probably one of the biggest reasons for gender conflicts. And so I look forward to this forum and the pre-event of dialogue amongst the youth will contribute to creating a social consensus. Of course, the pre-event was not represented by all, and not everyone participated. But when such dialogue happens and it adds together, it could lead to a social consensus. I am here on behalf of the Youth Special Conference and the youth. They will become the main group in the future. And so I believe that we need gender equality education for the youth. And I believe that education is the best way to find solutions. By having open discussions and education, we can find the solution little by little.
Because of COVID-19, here offline, there are just some cameras and camera crews. We don't have a lot of members of the audience here, but they are participating actively through YouTube. And we do have a question that has been submitted through YouTube. Listening to the presentations and panel discussions today, I was able to identify another problem or an issue. And this is something that Mr. Kang said in his presentation, and what co-chair Park also said in his discussion point, that this issue of inequality and the issue of fairness, that maybe through pursuing a discourse on fairness or through the framework of fairness, if we were to diagnose this current issue, maybe there are some gaps and some areas that go missing because of that. And one person in the YouTube audience asked a question related to that, because if we were just looking at the issue through the framework of fairness, then maybe there are some things that we miss along the way.
선생님들 중에서
Perhaps maybe of the four of you here, one of you could respond to this, maybe Mr. Kang or any one of you who would like to respond to this issue.
여러분들 의견 듣고 나면 저희한테 허락된 시간이
And after we've listened to you, I think that we would have finished all the time that is allotted to us. So I would like to ask maybe one of you, Mr. Kang, would you like to respond to this issue?
네, 공정성을
Well,
놓치는 것들에 대한 말씀을 하신 건데
I think you are talking about what we are missing under the topic of fairness. Recently, I have seen that the logic of fairness, however perfect it is, we will have blind spots.
그렇게 됐을 때 결국
And when that happens,
나의 앞에 누군가 내 뒤에 누군가 탈락하는 어떤 사회
you may
속에서는
live in a social structure where you can become a part of that blind spot or your neighbor could become a part of the blind spot. And that is why we need an alliance. Without that alliance, it is very difficult for us to gather our wisdom. And so I think the logic in itself could not be perfect and it cannot cover everyone. What we need to do is to think about how to achieve fairness through the social structure.
지금의 체제 속에서 얻어갈 수 있는 일정
And
부분들 항상 얻어갈 수도 있겠지만
Of course, some will benefit from the given logic, but
내가 엄청나게 치열하게 노력하지 않으면 얻을 수 없는 무엇을
you also need to remember that there are limitations to these logics. And so,
서로의 같음을 발견하고
under the concept of fairness, we need to discover similarities among us, and we need to view this from the perspective of opening a new set of possibilities that cannot be opened by individuals. So you mentioned that fairness cannot cover everything. I would like to keep it short.
공정이라는 것이 어떤 이제 기준과
I think that when we talk about fairness or fairness, you have a standard that you're working off of. And so there's that one standard, and then there are many different other items in the periphery that are in competition, and that is when you kind of see and visualize the standard. Because I am in the media, what I think is important is that when there is that value of fairness, and in these different discussions related to fairness, there are some people who become completely invisible in those discussions because they are completely outside of the realm of their interests. There are many people who don't even consider this to be an issue that is impacting them. And so we have to continue to try to make them visible, and that is the role of the media. And I think that this is what we have to discuss in our discussions related to gender equality.
네, 박승우 선생님하고
Well, can we go to Vice Chair Park?
저희가 올해 공정이라는 주제를
Well, this year we developed policies based on the concept of fairness.
단어에 대한
And
사전적 정의는 명확한데
there is a clear definition of fairness in the dictionary, but what about the standards and the criteria for fairness? We have had very fierce dialogue concerning this. Fairness means different things to different people, and so we need to revisit what fairness means to us. And that is why open dialogue is even more important.
하고 있고요. 또 저희가 이것을 제안하면
And
또 다른 불평등
when we suggest certain policies, we are always asking ourselves whether we will trigger other issues of fairness. Well, even if we work for fairness, we also will have other issues of fairness that arise. And so we will continue to need to think about the sacrifices that we make in our society in moving forward for fairness. At times, fairness may actually become a rationale for inequalities. We will now go to Ms. Chisan Kim.
시간이 없기 때문에
Yes, because we're running out of time, I'll try to be brief. Earlier, we said that solidarity could become difficult and that we have to think about how this is impacted by fairness. I think that this can pose a potentially big obstacle because the standard of fairness, I think, especially when it comes to Korean society, when we talk about a good life or a just life or equal life, I think those standards are very much standardized and almost there is no room for more controversy regarding that. So for us to become a society where diversity is more respected, we can talk about consensus related to diversity and maybe some inconvenient truths.
네, 최근 우리
Recently in Korean society,
많이 느꼈던 한계점, 아쉬운 점.
we have been able to identify some of these unfortunate areas where, for example, why is there so much conflict between the genders and why can't we make this more of a public issue? I think that I was able to see some sort of possibility through today's forum. We don't have to necessarily shy away from conflict, but we have to confront conflict head on and through a public discussion and try to overcome that. And if there's only conflict and nothing more, that would not be desirable. I've also had some unfortunate ideas when it comes to Korean society, and especially when it comes to gender equality. But by speaking with you and in engaging with this fourth session, I think that I was able to see hope that this is how we would be able to have more of these avenues for public discussion. Thank you for allowing me to feel this hope again to the four panelists. And with that, we would like to conclude the fourth session. Thank you very much.
네, 고맙습니다. 성평등
Thank you very much. Thank you for this session titled Exploring Solutions Towards Gender Equality. Indeed, the importance of dialogue and alliance was emphasized. Creating the platform for open dialogue is indeed very important, as we are doing through this Korea Gender Equality Forum. Thank you very much to the members of Session 4. We will now be inviting Director General Kim Jong-mi of the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family, along with all of the moderators of all sessions, to conduct a summary session. Please join us for this wrap-up session.
네, 이틀간의 포럼을
We have enjoyed the last 2 days of the forum, and now we have a wrap-up session to discuss the last 2 days. We have invited Director General Kim Jong-mi of the Women's Policy Bureau of the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family. As have been introduced, I am Kim Jong-mi. Thank you for joining us at the 2021 Korea Gender Equality Forum under the topic of Gender Equality Paving the Way Towards a Better Future. We are almost at the end of our 2 days. We have discussed jobs, safety, and digitization, and we have had 3 sessions for each of these topics. And so we will go back to each of the sessions. First, we will be inviting Professor Shin Kyung-ah of Hallym University to discuss the first session. Good afternoon. I am greeting you again, as I have met you yesterday as well. The topic for session 1 was life and work of the youth. As we have mentioned yesterday, we have recently enacted the Basic Act for Youth, and this year we put into effect the Basic Plan for Youth Policies, and that is why our dialogue was very timely and appropriate. I would like to boast about our session. It was a very unique agenda. Before the forum, we had invited 100 members of the youth generation to participate in an open dialogue in October. And 2 of the members that participated in that dialogue came to the session to present the voices from the youth. We also heard 2 presentations and 2 discussions. As I mentioned before, we started with the voices from the youth, and I believe that this forum was very meaningful. Usually we think that the youth are engrossed in their own problems, but that was not what we could see from the participants. The 2 people who presented the voices from the youth focused on the vulnerable groups who were in the blind spot for human rights, and they were very engrossed in these issues. For example, the workers who deliver overnight deliveries and the death because of fatigue, and also the death from industrial accidents that happen to university students, and also the reality of laborers with disabilities. They also discussed the issue of pregnancy, birth, and childcare, the career breaks that are experienced by women. In order to find a solution for these issues, we need to respect diversity at the workplace. We also need to respect the human rights of the minorities, and we also need to strengthen education for labor rights. We listened to 2 experts. We had with us Director Romina Biorini from the Center for Well-Being, and she actually was a very interesting presenter. For the well-being of laborers, a center was created under the UN framework, and she introduced the WISE framework, and she pointed out the issues that were faced by Korean youth. It seems that the Korean youth has a very high level of education, even seen from the outside. But because of this high level of education, we live in a very competitive society. And so there's the mismatch of technology, skills, and jobs. And she also mentioned the difference between SMEs and large companies. And she also talked about the economic and psychological difficulties faced by the youth. In order to find solutions for these challenges, we need to strengthen the technical capabilities of the youth. And so we need more investment in order to equip the youth with such technologies. And we also need to enhance the quality of jobs for women. We also invited Senior Research Fellow Kim Jong-in from the Korea Labor and Society Institute, and he took a look at the impact of COVID-19 on the youth, in particular the women in their 20s with a low education level. And the analysis showed that the depression amongst women, youth in their 20s who lost their jobs was quite high, and this is also a serious social issue in Korea. We see that COVID-19 has triggered a high unemployment rate for the youth, especially those in NEET who are not in education or training. So the youth in need is a very specific issue that we need to deal with. In particular, the percentage of women youth in need is 31%. This is a very important figure. And also, youth are exposed to industrial disasters as well as wage gaps between genders, as well as unstable form of work, which is platform work. And according to Dr. Kim, we always talk about platform workers these days, and 58.6% of the platform workers are the youth. So solving the issue of platform workers is a way to provide more employment opportunities to the youth and to provide them with more decent jobs. In order to find solution, Dr. Kim talked about the European system of youth guarantee. And as we have heard from previous sessions, we cannot rely on the government to do everything. We need the youth to actually be proactive in finding solutions within the society. In the wrap-up discussion, we took a look at what the companies and the government can do to find jobs for the youth and enable them to live secure lives. And in closing the summary of session 1, I would like to take this opportunity to share with you the 3 slogans that the youth have shared in the Voices from the Youth. First is self-realization through work. Second is a society where women and minorities can work without discrimination. And third is a society where we can work without the fear of sexual violence and sexual harassment. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The 3 slogans that you mentioned lingers in our memories.
Next, we would also like to hear from the session that is devoted to creating a safer world. Professor Song Bong-gyu of Hansi University. Hello, my name is Song Bong-gyu. I'm assistant professor at Hansi University. I moderated the second session, Creating a Safe Society, where we talked about the issue of safety, violence, and hatred, and alternatives to each of these different issues. We've heard from Boon Gaon and Lim Jae-hwan, who were participating in the pre-sessions of Voices from the Youth, and they talked about various issues, detailed issues regarding safety for the youth and the different alternatives to that there were different ways that the men and women feel safe and unsafe. And these were inspirational presentations that they gave. The first presentation was given by Nala Valji, Senior Gender Advisor at the Executive Office of the UN Secretary General, offering about victim protection, violence education, legal measures, and a collective funding and other different supports, and how they can be efficacious against this issue. Our second presenter is Ha Seung-hee, representative of the Korea Cyber Sexual Violence Response Center, gave a presentation under the title of Unbearable Exhaustion of Being and came up with different alternatives. Our first panel list was Linda Wong, Executive Director of the ACSVAW in Hong Kong, who talked about image-based sexual violence and victim-based research on this, and 4 new criminal criteria that were installed in the laws in 2021. Then we've heard from Park Jung-hoon, a journalist at Omae News, and he called for the different action that young men today should take, be more interested in the issue of gender equality and violence against women, and how we have to engage in solidarity towards this issue. In creating a new safe society, we talked about work, army, and our life, violence, hatred, gender-based violence, many different safety-threatening issues. We listened to the demands made by the youth, and we heard diagnoses from the experts and solutions to this issue and ways where we should go forward. It was a valuable experience for us all. Recently, there's many violence-based crimes, and there's some nature versus nurture kind of dilemma in this aspect, that nobody is born a criminal, but anyone can become a criminal. In this session, Creating a Safe Society, in looking at the everyday lives of the youth and the violence and inequalities that they face in their everyday lives, that this could be a way for us to overcome this issue. To try to create a gender equal society, the youth can overcome inequality and unfairness and some of the other challenging issues that the existing generations fail to solve. If we can understand one another and engage in solidarity, then we can try to create a safer society where no one would become a criminal. Thank you. Thank you very much. By cooperating with one another and collaborating together, we can create a safer world, especially in the digital era. And I think that was the conclusion that you reached.
Next, we will go to Manager Choi Ga-in of Innovation Academy to share with us the session on digital society. Hello, I am Choi Ga-in of Innovation Academy. I moderated session 3. We already heard the important summaries of session 1 and 2, and I believe that session 3 was as important. During session 3, we discussed the topic of new tasks and gender equality in a digital society. We took a look at how to create a more competitive and inclusive society where all members of our society can enjoy a mature digital life. We heard from 2 presenters. One person was the regional director of the ITU Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. She was Atsuko Okuda, and she talked about how we need to overcome the gap in access to digital technology. And she talked about the importance of strengthening ICT education as well as coming up with projects and activities to connect different generations. We also heard from research professor Im Sun-yeon of Sungmyung Women's University, and she talked about the current situation in Korea, such as the hate and discrimination following digital transformation. And she mentioned that we should take a look at this as an opportunity rather than a crisis. In order to catch this opportunity, we need to make sure that we utilize big data and also make sure that we do not have bias in technologies such as AI. If we are able to view these technologies from various perspectives, then we can utilize the digital world and digital tools to find solutions for gender equality. The discussants talked about how we need to enhance productivity through digitization, and we also talked about how digital life has enhanced the productivity of the youth, but at the same time, we feel overloaded with the utilization of digital devices, and that is why we need to keep a close eye on the trends and make sure that we approach these issues from various perspectives. As I have mentioned in the beginning, in the process of digital transformation, we are discussing the important values of fairness and inclusion, and we have become very sensitive to these issues. But we see that technology and the times are changing very quickly, and inequalities will continue to grow. We will continue to be faced with these challenges and crises in the future. But if we have more opportunities like we have today to discuss these issues, we can surely create a more mature digital society. I work in software education, and so by participating in this very meaningful dialogue, I was able to re-highlight the issues that we have within our industry, and it was a great opportunity to discuss various solutions based on different backgrounds. Thank you very much. In the digital society, we experience digital transformation, and if the youth can lead this transformation, then we would be able to find new opportunities for the future.
Next, we'd like to move on to a very important session, which was focused on searching for alternatives, especially when it comes to policy implications. And we'd like to hear from No Myung-woo, professor of Aju University. Hello, my name is No Myung-woo. I was a professor of sociology at Aju University, and I was the moderator of the first session. It is not easy to change the world, and the world does not easily change, but Thus far, we have managed to bring about positive change for the world, and we cannot give up on this hope, which is the main message of the fourth session. Talks about work, safety, and digital era, and after all of those sessions, we had an avenue where youth participated to talk about active alternatives to this current reality. We had 2 presentations followed by 2 panel discussions. The first presenter was Lee Jung-yeon, who was the team head of the gender desk at Hangyeole, who talked about the gender issues of 2021 and talked about 2 different alternatives that we can take into consideration as we move into a gender equal world. The first is that we have to share the objective facts and realities of gender inequality. And secondly, Ms. Lee said that we have to be very firm against any attacks against the gender equality agenda. The second presenter, Kang Nam-gyu, was from the Center for Cultural Society, said that we have to go beyond these false or mythical frameworks to try to identify these different connection points and look at the different flaws in discourse and look at the actual current realities of the situation. There's insecurity for the youth currently, and we have to make that into a discourse and politicize the issue. And to achieve a gender equal society, the possibilities should be found among the potential in the youth. After these 2 expert presentations, we had a panel discussion. The first panelist was Kim Ji-sun of the Seoul Youth Policy Network, and she said that the inequality faced by the youth is very urgent, and we have to ease inequality through youth participation. And the possibility was to try to create governance for the network and also find a legal basis to guarantee the lives of the youth. Looking at the Framework Act on the Youth that was legislated in 2020 as an achievement. The second panelist was Park Seung-gu of the KYWA, who shared the experiences of the KYWA and came up with specific diagnoses to try to include gender awareness training and education in the schools and the actual official curricula, and that we have to also strengthen this training outside of the schools as well. And also talked about gender equality as having to be more reinforced within the KYWA. That is all. Thank you very much. This KGEF looked at the challenges facing the youth. We've heard from Delphina Oh of the UN and also Chung Hyun-baek, a former Minister of Gender Equality and Family. After these keynote presentations, we've heard about different presentations across 4 sessions. Self-actualization through work and creating a safer world for the youth, and how this would begin with gender discrimination. Try to break this framework and how to engage in solidarity for gender equality. The youth can together overcome inequality, unfairness, and some of the issues that the existing generation was not able to solve. The youth can engage in solidarity and cooperation and inclusion, and when they create that kind of world, that we can perhaps scale into a safer world. Especially in the world of digital transformation, this could be seen as an opportunity for us, not necessarily a difficulty, where we can search for the potential of the youth. That should be our starting point. As has been mentioned, we have to go beyond this kind of false frame and see the bridge, look for the connecting factors for the youth and how we can encompass that and communicate with the youth. And I think that this forum is a way for us to do so. I was reminded that the world does not easily change, but the youth will continue to make the effort and do not lose hope that they can bring about change. The Ministry of Gender Equality and Family would work so that we can provide support to all of these different activities and initiatives where the youth will be front and center. I would like to thank everyone who actively participated in our collective efforts. Thank you.
감사합니다.
Thank you very much. We have just heard from Director General Kim Jong-mi as well as the moderators of each of the sessions. Thank you very much to the panelists on stage. We are almost at the end of the 2021 Korea Gender Equality Forum. We had passionate discussions throughout the last 2 days. We have heard various stories, and we were faced with the suffering that our society is going through. But at the same time, we have found hope. We now believe that we can change, and we look forward to opportunities for open dialogue that we enjoyed throughout the last 2 days. We are almost at the end of the 2021 Korea Gender Equality Forum. We will be inviting Vice Minister Kim Kyung-sun of the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family for her closing remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kim Kyung-sun. I'm the Vice Minister of Gender Equality and Family. I would like to thank all of the speakers, both yesterday and today, and as well our 4 moderators who have taken time for the discussion session. Shin Kyung-ah, Professor of Hallym University, Song Bong-gyu, Assistant Professor of Hansei University, Choi Ga-in, Manager at Innovation Academy, No Myung-woo, Professor of Aju University, as well as everyone who has joined us online. Thank you very much. Over the last 2 days, in a hybrid format, both online and offline, we've seen the participation of the youth, civil society, the government, and international organizations in a passionate discussion. Over the 4 sessions, we've seen various presentations and discussions where we were able to see that the voices of the youth calling for the realization of a gender-equal society where men and women can all live free from discrimination. And we also saw a valuable opportunity to search for various alternatives to realize a gender-equal society. The current youth generation have a high gender awareness. They are actively seeking improvements to the challenges that they are facing in their everyday lives. There is a big gap in their gender consciousness when it comes to gender equality. At this forum, all of the speakers have come together to say that we have to take today's current crisis as an opportunity to work further for the realization of a gender-equal society. The youth are seeing many more challenges due to unemployment exacerbated by COVID-19, digital sexual violence and crimes, safety issues, accelerated digital transformation leading to inequality issues. We have to work to ease this inequality suffered by the youth, and we all have to work so that the youth can dream of a better future. This forum is the second of its kind, hosted by our ministry, and I think that this year was all the more meaningful because, as Professor Shin Kyung-ah said, beginning in October, we've had the platform, the pre-platform for discussion online, where we've brought about different voices from the youth. In fact, over 100 members of the youth generation actively participating in this consensus building process. Going forward, our ministry will continue to listen more to the voices of the youth and try to seek policy alternatives that meet their eye. These will not be policies for particular gender or particular generation, but will be diverse and inclusive, so that we can create a society where men and women all will be free from discrimination in a just and fair world. Because of COVID-19, it was difficult to organize and prepare for this event. So we were very careful and concerned, but we were able to successfully conclude this event. I would like to thank our speakers and all of the youth for participating in the pre-platform and the various presentations and discussions. Through this forum, I hope that we were able to better understand our differences and respect diversity and head towards a more inclusive society. Going forward, we'll try to create more avenues for communication and solidarity. With that, we would like to officially conclude the 2021 Korea Gender Equality Forum.
하겠습니다.
Thank you
감사합니다.
very much.
네, 고맙습니다.
Thank you very much, Vice Minister Kim Kyung-sun, for your
네,
remarks.
이틀간 함께했습니다.
We have been here throughout the last 2 days,
소중한
involved in communication and dialogue for a gender equal society. Our discussions will certainly accelerate the achievement of a gender equal society. We look forward to being able to incorporate more voices across our society. This brings us to the end of the 2021 Korea Gender Equality Forum. We also have the quiz event for session 4 at the end of all program, and we look forward to your participation via the QR code and URL address. I will see you again next year. I am Kim Hana. Thank you very much.